All right, people. Midweek report time. So, this week's been a weird one because there hasn't been a crazy amount of boxing news. There's not been, it's not been one of those weeks where you're thinking, oh my God, how am I going to keep this under a half hour? Because there's so much news coming. This one has been mainly dominated by, basically it's mainly been dominated by the 5v5 Matchroom Queensberry and the press conference for Beterbiev Bivol. We'll start with Beterbiev Bivol. The press conference itself was just kind of, Frank Warren was there, even though he's not the promoter of Artur Beterbiev, even though he sat next to him. Yeah, I know, make it make sense. It was, it was all right. That's the best way I could really explain it. It was all right. The poster looks amazing. I've heard the trailer for that, which will probably be dropping in the next couple of weeks, is meant to be next level. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what that actually looks like. I'm just so... It's weird because I'm still kind of stumped that we're getting this fight in a good way, because I really did. This was one of these fights where I was like, do you know what? I'm resigning myself to the fact we're not getting this fight. And it's neither fighter who doesn't want it. Both fighters want it. It's just that Mauricio Sulaiman, that guy, if you've ever heard the expression, has main character syndrome. That's Mauricio Sulaiman. That's what he has. He's got main character syndrome, and it's his fault we haven't got this fight up until now. And that's it. We're getting it now, and the kickoff press conference, seeing them both there, seeing the face-to-face, I can't wait for the fight. I genuinely can. I think the fight is going to be epic. I go back and forth a lot about this fight because I look at it on paper and I just think, part of me is like Bivol, and then I think of other things and I'm like, but hang on a minute, how would Bivol do with Beter? And it's, you want to know the definition of a 50-50 fight, you'd look at this fight, because you could make a very strong case both guys win. It's not going to be one-sided in any which way, and it's such a good fight because it's such a good contrast to styles that I would take a weak undercard any day of the week. We don't have a weak undercard. Thankfully, we have Amo Williams, Hamza Shearis, Craig Richards, Willie Hutchinson, Ray Ford, Nick Ball, Philip Perkovic, Daniel Dubois, and Deontay Wilder, Zilli Zhang. Every one of those fights is a main event. Whether it be on Queensberry or whether it be on DAZN or Matchroom or DAZN, every one of those fights is a main event. It's a main event level fight, every single one of them. And for me, I think the one that I think will probably maybe steal the show could be Amo Williams versus Hamza Shearis. I can see that fight really catching. That could be the one. That could be the one that really steals the show. I would make a case that all these fights are reasonably 50-50. If they're not 50-50, they're not far off it. The one I'm kind of looking at with a bit of... I don't want to say it's a smoking gun that this fighter is going to win, but I would imagine he'll be a strong betting favourite, and that's obviously Craig Richards, Willie Hutchinson. Because Willie Hutchinson, I can't get that Lennox Clark fight out of my head. Me and Rob were talking about that after the press conference, and Rob made a good point that Hutchinson has developed a bit more, in a sense of more he's grown into himself, because I didn't realise he was very young turning over. I remember him on the Hey David Hay shows back in the day when he did them on Dave. He seems to have developed more of a man strength now, and it could make it interesting, but obviously when you're dealing with someone like Willie Hutchinson who's not really hung at the level, and again, Craig Richards' level, losing to Boatti, losing to Bivol, what level would you have that at? European, above European fringe world? Willie Hutchinson has never even made a crack at European, so you really don't know where his gauge is at. Ray Ford, Nick Ball, I love it. Hrgovic Dubois, again, I absolutely love that fight. And Wilder Zhang. The only thing I worry about with Wilder Zhang is just that both guys are so worried about getting hit that they end up cancelling each other out. That's what I'm worried about. What I mean by that is that they're both so worried about, I don't want to get hit by him and he doesn't want. If you've ever watched O'Hara Davis versus Jack Cattrall, I wouldn't recommend you watch it. It's an awful fight. That was two guys who both knew they could hurt the other guy, and they were very cautious the whole night. And it was awful. It was not a good fight. Didn't make for compelling viewing whatsoever. I saw this story break on Monday, and now it broke on Monday, but it happened a few days prior. Willie Lemond has sadly passed away at age 45. That's no age at all, really. Apparently suffered a seizure in his car, was found unresponsive. Willie Lemon, he fought Ricky Burns last year, if I remember correctly. His thoughts and prayers go out to him and his family. Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. And Willie Lemon, that's rough. Scottish, I believe he was. Sonny Edwards will face Adrian Krell, I think is how you say that guy's name, on the undercard of Estrada versus Bam on June the 29th. I am looking forward so much to that fight. I honestly cannot emphasize how much I'm looking forward to that fight. I think that fight is going to be absolutely flipping epic. I really can't. I've also seen that Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano 2, the rematch, that is going to be added to the undercard of Jake Paul, Mike Tyson. Now, I'm hearing conflicting reports about that fight. So some are saying it's an exhibition. It's like what Mike Tyson did with Roy Jones. An exhibition, and just they will give off a fight feel. They won't pull any punches, but it's not it's not that. But then you hear another say that actually no, it will be a full fight. So I don't know. Anto's on a postcard with that one. Eddie Hearn announced Tyler Denny will defend his middleweight title against Felix Cash, European middleweight title I should say, on June 22nd in Birmingham. Lewis Crooker will also be on the undercard. That'd be an interesting fight. Felix Cash, me and Ade spoke about that. So Felix Cash, when he fought Denzel Bentley, and I actually picked Denzel Bentley going into that fight, I thought Bentley would do it. He done very well, stopped Denzel Bentley in a couple of rounds, and then did nothing. Faded into obscurity, pretty much. And Felix Cash, that was the time to make hay while the sun was shining. He didn't do that. And this is why I would say a loss is not the end of the world, because has Felix Cash lost? No, he hasn't. But how relevant is he? Not very. Not many people are talking about him. So what I would say is a loss does not define a fight, or a loss not the end of the world. What's arguably worse is to have that big moment and then not follow up. And it's almost like Denzel Bentley has got world title fights. Denzel Bentley is still active. He's still headlining shows. He's lost 3 times now. And Felix Cash is undefeated. But you say Felix Cash, most people are like, oh, who? When did he fight last? And it's not like Eddie Hearn hasn't tried with this guy. He has. But, Turki Al Sheikh posted a picture of him and Anthony Joshua saying, we are waiting for the results of Usyk Fury. This one to me is a strange one, because it seems almost that it seems like rematches mean nothing realistically when it comes to boxing in Saudi Arabia, because if they did, then you would imagine that the two-way rematch for both Fury and Usyk will mean that whoever wins will have to rematch. If Usyk wins, he'll have to rematch Fury and vice versa. But apparently there was a rematch clause in place for Parker Zhang. What's Parker doing, or what's Zhilei Zhang doing? He's fighting Deontay Wilder. So there you go. I would imagine that whatever Turki Al Sheikh thinks will make the most money or will do the best numbers, and quite frankly, although both guys are coming off a loss, there is that intrigue with Wilder Zhang that you don't really get for another fight against Zhang Parker. I can understand where he's coming from there. I would imagine that on the nature of the Usyk Fury fight will tell us kind of what's going to happen next. If it's a fairly, let's not even necessarily say it's fairly conclusive for either man. Let's not even go that far. Let's say Alexander Usyk wins, but it's it's kind of like an 8-4 type of fight. Yeah, Usyk wins, but Fury's made a case for himself. It's not a masterclass and anything like that. It's reasonably competitive. But it never catches fire. The fans are, not watching it, in awe of what they're seeing. It's just a run-of-the-mill fight. And, one guy wins and so on. Under those circumstances, would I imagine that they do a rematch? Or Turki Al Sheikh would like to do a rematch? Probably not, because he's probably going to think, well, more people would be interested in seeing the trilogy with Usyk, or more people certainly would be interested in seeing the Tyson Fury fight, as opposed to those two running the back again. Yeah, it could be a bit different the next time, but will the fans really be thinking, give me the rematch? It's not going to be, I don't think it will be. I don't think it's going to be a Gaddy Ward where it's like, don't care who won, give me that rematch. I don't think it'll be like that. I wonder if that's kind of what they're talking about there. Speaking of Furies, Huey Fury is set to return for the first time in over 2.5 years against Konstantin Dobyshenko. That's going to be on Saturday night. It's going to be live on TalkSport. He'll be fighting with GBM. So GBM, who Adam Smith is now working with very closely. Huey Fury. Huey Fury is now how old? 29, 30 years of age. So he's gone to that point now where I know Peter Fury used to always say his age, his age, his age. Well, his age is now, you can't use that. He's not a little boy anymore. You know? So Huey Fury needs to make hay while the sun shines. Apparently, he's had health issues the whole way through his career. I remember Peter Fury talking about that years ago, like about 2015. That Huey Fury had health issues. I think he's always had health issues going back from when he was a kid. A lot of people say that was where the acne used to come from, because you remember Huey Fury back in the day. I don't know. I don't remember his last fights, whether he had it or not then. But he used to have a lot of acne around. And some of them will be bleeding in the fight. Because obviously you're getting hit on it. So it's going to open up. But I don't know what exactly. And it's not, he's not obliged to disclose any medical condition. But he's had health issues for many, many years now. Many years. And has it taken away from Huey Fury as a performer? You could argue. I've never really seen Huey Fury as having a massively high ceiling anyway. He's always been one of those guys when it comes to world level. He's always fallen short. He's done a kind of Anthony Yard in a way, where he's made that big jump to world level, came back down to domestic or sometimes even below that. Had a good performance. Well, define a good performance. I mean, if you're coming from a world-class fight where you've lost, on a decision, and then you're fighting essentially a journeyman, and you stop him in a couple of rounds, is that really in the context of it a good performance, or is that just, you got a nice knockout? I remember Huey Fury when he fought Sam Peters. That was on a Saudi Arabian show, actually. That was on the undercard of Amir Khan, Billy Dib. And I'll never forget, Sam Peter really did. I think Sam Peter was only 40 years old in that fight. He didn't look 40, he looked a lot older than that. He moved like an old man as well. He was so slow. And Huey Fury really didn't set the world alight in that fight. And he went from that to the Povetkin fight, of all fights. And that Povetkin fight was there for him. He just wasn't able to grasp it. So Huey Fury back against Dobyshenko. He's durable, Dobyshenko. Moses Atelma, amongst others, couldn't put a dent in him. And he actually beat Matty Harris. So I wouldn't put Huey Fury in terms of punching power on the level of those guys, but he is a lot more experienced. And sometimes you might not be a bigger puncher, but if you're just more experienced and you just know, basically, all right, he's doing this, right, I can adjust and do this, where you often see with prospects, they just throw the kitchen sink. Oh, crap, what do I do now? Someone like Fury probably, it wouldn't shock me if Fury stops him, but I wouldn't be putting money on it at the same time. The big fight this weekend is obviously Devin Haney versus Ryan Garcia. Now, it's interesting. On BoxRec, there is no undercard. There is an undercard. I just don't remember what it actually is. So there is genuinely an undercard, but they don't have it on BoxRec. So Devin Haney. A lot of people don't seem too keen on this fight. Not necessarily they don't seem as interested, because it is a big fight. But if you look even at the Barclays Centre over there in Brooklyn, which is where they're hosting this fight, that was a place where a few years ago, about 2016, 2017, it was like Wilder, you had Thurman Porter. I think Danny Garcia fought Keith Thurman there. A lot of the PBC shows were happening there. The big PBC shows, they were happening in the Barclays Centre. Since roughly about 2019, they've really moved on from there. They don't go to Barclays Centre that much. That's what they said. Barclays was like, all right. I was like, would you not do it in Vegas? Would it not be bigger there? I would assume it's cheaper probably to just get the place, but ticket sales don't appear to be doing the best, and I think it's largely in part to how Ryan has, handled the situation. There's people saying that Ryan is trolling with the way he's been carrying himself on social media and some of the things he's been coming out with, some of the antics he's been doing. And what I would say in that situation is that if he is trolling, it's really backfired, hasn't it? Because I think a lot of people are looking at Ryan and thinking, he shouldn't be in the ring. That's what a lot of people are looking at. They're looking at him and thinking, he shouldn't really be in the ring. Look at me, he's clearly not right. He's not in the good headspace, not in the good mind space. He can look in shape, but he clearly shouldn't be going in there and boxing. And if you're in a bad headspace, staying in shape is something you can do to help it. So if you're in a bad headspace, you can still look physically in good shape, but you're just still, up there not fully right. And he's going to be going in there against Devin Haney, and a lot of people are thinking, all right, this is going to be a complete mismatch. So if he, and I think that's knocked a bit of the appeal from the fight. So for someone like Ryan, if he has been trolling, well, Jesus, that could have backfired spectacularly, couldn't it? So I will do a prediction video. I'll probably try and get one out tomorrow on this fight. I won't be doing a watch along. I'll do a review of it the next morning, certainly. But with regards watch along, I doubt very much I'll actually go and do. I very doubt I'll do. And it's pay-per-view here in the UK as well. And I'm sorry, but I won't be paying for it. No way. I will watch it the next day by other means. Teofimo Lopez accuses Top Rank of submitting too many take it or leave it offers. Yeah, well, Teofimo Lopez is fighting a guy now who I can't even remember what his name is. Teofimo Lopez, what is he looking for? Is he looking for big money to have easy fights? Sounds like he's got Joe Gallagher managing him if that's the case. I like Teofimo Lopez. I think he's a very good fighter, but you know, if they take it or leave it offer and you're not fighting the cream of the crop, or you're looking for, you know, pay-per-view like level money, and you're fighting, you know, whoever, it's like, yeah, they don't want to take a massive L on the show. They might be willing to take a loss on a show or two, but not a massive L. What else do we have here? Dubois hopes to make Hrgovic eat his words and send unbeaten Croatian into retirement. He basically admitted, Daniel Dubois, that the sparring session that they had, yeah, he got it. He got given it bad in that sparring session. He basically admitted it. He said that sparring session was then, this is now. So like that's an admission that the spar certainly didn't go your way. He definitely has a lot more confidence in himself now, Daniel Dubois. You can see that. He's working with Don Charles, which appears to be paying a lot of dividends to him. If this fight had happened 12 months ago, I'd be saying Hrgovic definitely every day of the week. I wouldn't even. I was like Hrgovic 100%. He just does not. I haven't been happy with his level of performance or level of opponent in Mark Demori for a while now, and I just wonder, with Hrgovic in 2018, 2019, he had momentum, and then he just started fighting. He didn't move on when he should have, like move up the levels, and now it's almost like he stagnated. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Vodcek confirms Dave Benavidez fight will happen in Houston on June the 22nd. Interesting. I like that fight a lot. I think that fight's going to be absolutely brilliant. Deontay Wilder remains hopeful of landing Anthony Joshua's showdown after knocking Zhang's head off. If Deontay Wilder does fight, or if he does beat, I should say, they are fighting Zhilei Zhang, and he does it in good fashion, I would, like, if it's a proper, like, you know, couple of round job where he goes in, boom, the Bronze Bomber is back, big right hand, Zhang is down, gone, out. If that does happen, then I would imagine they would make a play for the Joshua fight. By they, I mean Eddie Hearn, Matchroom, the Saudis, because I think boxing fans are so reactionary that you could perform horribly, like he did against Parker in a horrible fight. You go and you put on an exciting performance against someone like Zhilei Zhang, a very dangerous heavyweight. The boxing fans will tend to forget very quickly about that, and they will, yeah, let's have Deontay Wilder. Let's have Deontay Wilder and Joshua. So, if he does go, will he perform though? You know, it's all well and good for Deontay, because Deontay Wilder says a lot of things. There's a difference between saying and doing. Saying that I'm going to perform against Zhilei Zhang, I'm going to do this, I've got my old fire back, etc., etc., etc. Okay, but you know, you didn't look. You're only talking a couple of months ago, you just could not pull that trigger. And what's changed? Is it just the case if the light bulbs come back on? You know, we're taking it at face value, that one. Top Rank president admits Beterbiev Bivol could not have happened on this timeline without the Saudi support. Yeah, if it wasn't for them, there's no way they would ever have done this fight. This fight would have been resigned to the what ifs. And thank God it's not. I mean, I'm delighted it's not. Sullivan refuses to take a political U-turn. What? So what does he mean? Mauricio Sullivan in London this past week to announce super fight between Beterbiev. WBC have held close talks with UAE over blah blah blah. What is he saying? That's because our position with Russia said the WBC would not accept the fight. Blah 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 blah. So what is he doing? Does this mean the WBC will sanction Russians' fights moving forward? Not at the moment. You scumbag, Sullivan. He really is a complete scumbag. You know, So you have Russian citizens there, or you have Russian fighters who maybe don't agree with what's going on, and they don't support their government, but they have to shoulder the responsibility. Is that right? Is that what you're saying? So what happens then if I'll give you what would happen then if, say, the US just unlawfully invaded a place? Would you do the same? No, you wouldn't. See, all Sullivan has what I said, that main character syndrome. That's what he has, and he just, honestly, he is something else. He really is. I don't agree with Russian athletes being banned from anything, because at the end of the day, how many of them actually chose it? How many of them are actually partaking in what's going on? How many of them chose that? So there you go. There you go. What else is there in the world of boxing scene? It's not a great deal. See, like I said, I don't want this to be a too short a midweek report, but there's not been a great deal to really go in and talk about. I think me and Ade pretty much did a very, very good job with our videos that we did, all 8 or 9 of them, over the last few days, which was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant to do. So I think this is going to be a reasonably short midweek report for a change. I think it's going to be, this might even be a sub 20 minutes, which is a very rare midweek report. So I will leave it there. I hope you enjoyed the video, people. If you could, smash the like button. Hit subscribe, of course, if you haven't already. And lads and lassies, I will leave it there. Peace.